Joining me to discuss the moves in Bitcoin is Mike Buchela, partner at Hightower. Mike, I ask a lot of people, and maybe you can tell me about your strategy and insight around Bitcoin, how it trades, when and why you buy it. Like, I've heard the argument it just inexorably goes higher, but there are these moments when it does move. It moves down. It does, why does it do that? Why is it doing what it's doing now, and what's your strategy around it?
Sure. And one quick correction, my Block Tower, not Hightower, but
oh, Block Tower. I'm sorry.
No worries. So with Elon, so for example, the move in Bitcoin overnight with Elon adding Bitcoin to his profile on Twitter, it could have been fundamental buying on the back of people assuming he's going to be announcing a personal purchase or of his company's balance sheet purchases. The reality is it may have also been algorithms that are scraping social media and market bidding anytime something like Bitcoin shows up on someone as well represented as Elon Musk's profile. So, you can't really take these moves and kind of take them for granted. You have to understand that a lot of these kind of hyper volatile moves on particularly catalysts like Elon Musk adding Bitcoin to his profile are likely short-lived or at least unsustainable. And so you need to see a rebasing before you can actually get comfortable getting longer. Now, the other point to make is that CIOs and leaders, corporate leaders like Elon, are still very much engaged in the space. And so this all seems like one big distraction from what's actually happening in the market, which is very much, if you think about Bitcoin, for example, it's evolving as its own financial asset. And corporate leaders everywhere, CIOs everywhere are engaging with the asset itself. Things like Dogecoin, I mean, listen, I suppose they're fine trading vehicles. There's very little fundamental value long-term in these things. I think the financial market warfare we've seen in the last week is more a distraction than anything else.
So when it goes down, why is that typically, do you think? And what's your strategy around either buying more or not during those periods of time?
Yeah, and so the drawdowns, in many instances, they're unsurprising. So what you want to see is a sustainable spot bid in the market, because that typically dictates allocations versus trades. In significant run-ups, and if you're pulling market data from particular exchanges, you can see levered bids in the market, and you can see where they're coming from. So in traditional finance, when I was at Goldman, you're kind of looking for flows, and if you knew a particular broker-dealer was trading an asset, you knew it was more retail flow than institutional flow. Same thing happens here. You can see where levered retail exchanges are bidding up a price, and you may have crypto or Bitcoin, for example, gap like we saw in January, from 30,000 to 42,000. But if most of that is derivatives led, and derivatives kind of lead us through these levels that you would have otherwise kind of sold looking at a technical level on a chart, that move may be less sustainable than one where you just saw a TWAP bid take us through that level and kind of strengthen higher. So you can reposition your portfolio in those moments to perhaps take some capital off the table or replace Bitcoin spot market or one delta with options where you can actually take some cash off the table, but still maintain that exposure in case that move continues.
Hey, Mike, how do you view regulation on Bitcoin and the crypto market in general? We're already starting to see some commentary come out from the OCC, FinCEN, and I'm just wondering how you think that's going to impact the pricing of these cryptocurrencies in the future, as well as the involvement in the financial system within the crypto space. How are you viewing that?
So long-term, all substantially positive. I think what we've seen thus far has been reasonably well thought out. In the instances it hasn't been well thought out, the crypto community has really kind of banded together and has had constructive dialogue with regulators. The interesting parts of the market, so obviously we've seen a lot of regulatory clarity around things like Bitcoin. We're getting the Ethereum CME futures launched February 8th. That's a big step for the Ethereum community. And then when you talk about things like decentralized finance, which I think, if Occupy Wall Street was the grounding moment for Bitcoin, and I remember walking out the Goldman building, the building at Goldman, and saying, this is a very interesting movement. And then a year later, you saw Bitcoin emerge. So this WallStreetBets moment is the grounding moment for, I think, what will become a movement in decentralized financial infrastructure. And so the battle shouldn't be Robinhood. The battle shouldn't be GameStop. The battle should be innovation and evolving the financial infrastructure to become more decentralized. But also alongside that, I think financial literacy becomes a lot more important. So there's a lot of things happening. There's a lot of balls in the air. We're in this, Block Tower's in this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And, even for us, sometimes it's a bit much to take in.
Yeah, that could be the tagline for the week for sure. Thank you, Mike Buchela. Block Tower, as in blockchain. Block Tower.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.